And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Starting out the marine segment with tonight's forecast. Low pressure here moving up to just southeast of Kodiak Island. Increasing wind and precipitation for the North Gulf Coast with rain and freezing rain and snow here moving into southern areas of Kenai Peninsula up into the southern Susitna Valley, lower Kuskokwim Valley. And winter storm warning out for the Yukon Delta for freezing rain and snow. And for tomorrow, that actually kicks in tomorrow for that area. And the freezing rain advisory ends for the Kenai Peninsula tomorrow morning. Otherwise, with this front coming up, gale force winds and storm force winds with this front. Looking for even gale force winds into Cook Inlet. Gale force winds as this pushes in toward the southeast coast with quite a bit of rain there. Dry in the central interior, light snow up here to the north, and becoming windier out over the Bering Sea here as this system here just south of southwest of Nikolsky tightens the gradient up with building Arctic high pressure over the Russian Far East. So you can see quite a northeast flow here developing over the Bering Sea with lighter winds on the south side of this trough through here and a little bit better conditions, but still wet for the panhandle. And for the coastal water forecasts here, we've got gale warnings on the south coast tomorrow. Southeast winds 25 to 35 knots. Gales on the north coast there out of the east-southeast at 35 to 45 knots. And for Lynn Canal, southeast 10 knots, southeast 25 for Stevens Passage and Clarence Strait. And for the day Monday, winds much lighter now. Again, the weak trough here coming into the coastline. We've got variable winds on the north coast at 15 knots, westerlies at 15 to 20 knots on the central and south coast, southwest 20 for Clarence Strait, south of 20 Stevens Passage, Lynn Canal, south winds at 15 knots. And for the North Gulf Coast tomorrow, storm warnings, east and northeast winds, 45 to 55 knots, seas nearly 20 feet. Good gales in Prince William Sound out of the east at 40 knots with 10-foot seas. Northeast at 50 knots there for the Barren Islands, seas 16 feet. For Cook Inlet, gale warnings, north winds up to 35 knots. Gale warnings for Kamishak Bay, northeast winds 40 knots with 15-foot seas. And then much lighter winds in store for Monday, just variable at 10 knots here for Cook Inlet, Kamishak Bay, and the Barren Islands. West winds at 15 knots there for the North Gulf Coast, south at 15 for Prince William Sound. And then for Kodiak Island tomorrow, northeast winds 25 to 30 knots, east winds 15 knots here for the Alaska Peninsula, east at 20 for Bristol Bay. And for Monday, for Kodiak Island, variable to southwest winds 10 to 20 knots. For the Alaska Peninsula, south to southeast winds 15 to 25 knots, and Bristol Bay looking at southeast winds at 15. And for the eastern Aleutians tomorrow, we've got east to northeast winds at 15 to 20 knots with seas anywhere from 6 to 11 feet. Adak and Atka a little bit stronger, north to northeast 25 to 30 knots, and then gale warnings for the western Aleutians, north winds 35 to 40 knots with seas around 20 feet. And those gale warnings continue here for Monday for the western Aleutians. Out of the north, 35 to 40 knots. North to northeast winds, 30 to 35 knots for Adak and Atka. And for the Fox Islands, east winds, 25 to maybe 30 knots. And for the southwest coast, winds out of the north here for the Yukon Delta coast at 30 knots. Same thing for St. Lawrence Island, north winds at 30 knots tomorrow. North 25 for Norton Sound and northeast 25 here for the southwest coast, actually south of Nunivak Island along the Kuskokwim Delta coast. And for the Pribilofs, northeast at 30 and northeast 35 for St. Lawrence or for St. Matthew Island. And then the next day, they'll kick those up to 40 knots out of the northeast or St. Matthew Island with seas around 17 feet. Pribilofs, northeast at 30 knots, 11-foot seas. And north winds 30 knots. Yukon Delta coast, St. Lawrence Island, north 25 for Norton Sound. Northeast at 20, not too bad here for the Kuskokwim Delta coast with seas at about 3 feet. And for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast tomorrow, east winds 15 knots. And for the central and western coast, north winds 10 to 15. But we're looking at brisk wind advisories for the Chukchi Sea for north winds 25 to 30 knots. And Monday, Chuck CC, north winds 25 to 35 knots with seas in the ice-free waters up to 5 feet. And for the central and western Arctic coast, north at 15. And the east side here, anywhere from north to east winds, but only at about 10 to 15 knots.